Welcome to the Igniting Clarity Show. I am your host, Tanya Patxot, and I am the founder of the Genesis Network. And I am here with our wonderful guest, Gull. I was going to say this morning, but we're recording in the afternoon. She's an amazing entrepreneur, and we got to know each other through a podcasting group. And when we connected, I was like, yeah. And we did pretty well getting to know each other. And so it's really refreshing always to find another entrepreneur that's willing to talk about the behind the scenes and help others get clarity so you can really see the nitty gritty and down and dirty of what it is to build, launch, sustain, increase, wherever stage that you're at. So Gull, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I'm super excited to be here talking to your audience. So for those of you who don't know me, who haven't met me yet, my name is Gull Khan, and I am a money mindset expert. And as a money mindset expert, I help entrepreneurs to break free from the limiting beliefs, to reverse their money shame, and to blast through the money blocks so that they can live a life of unlimited abundance.
Well, awesome. So how'd you get there?
Great question. So this has been a long journey, and it wasn't something that I intentionally set out to be or become. I'm actually trained, and my professional background is I'm a lawyer, and not a lawyer in just one. I'm a lawyer in 3 jurisdictions. So I'm a barrister here in the UK, and I'm a barrister with Middle Temple. I'm also a fully qualified solicitor with the England and Wales Law Society, again in the UK. And in the UK we have, the 2 distinct characteristics. We have barristers who work in the courts, and we have solicitors who actually operate in the office space, and they're very distinct in the roles and the duties and who they're accountable to. So you're either one or the other, and I'm one of the rare breeds that I'm actually both. I've qualified as both. And I'm also fully qualified New York attorney. So I qualified with the New York Bar Association way back in 2005, and I was sworn, actually 2002, but I was sworn in 2005. So actually I became an attorney before I became a solicitor or a barrister, but I wasn't sworn in until I had become a barrister. So I was in Albany back in 2005, doing that oath and being sworn in by the New York Bar Association.
Wow.
So that's my background. I am a lawyer in 3 jurisdictions, yet I practice in 0, none. And I am fully practicing, well, not practicing, but working as a money mindset expert in my business. And because I'm so passionate about money, I think I am still an advocate, but now I'm working as an advocate for money, and I'm helping and changing people's ideas and relationships with money, so that regardless of whether they're entrepreneurs, but I primarily focus on entrepreneurs because that's why I have I think I can change the mindset the quickest. They're more open to the idea of changing the mindset compared to the normal 9-to-5ers. But my ideas, my technologies, my tools are open for everyone who's open to the idea of changing the relationship with money. And that's what I work on at the moment.
Wow. So how did you fall in love with money? And we're not saying that the love of money, but how did you fall in love with that, wanting to help others and the stewardship and realizing that there's even limiting beliefs with so many individuals when it comes to that?
Well, great question. Again, this, like I said, it was a long process in the making. I became interested in personal development way back in my university days. So in the end of my first year of law degree, I was assessed to be not just dyslexic, but severely dyslexic. By then I had attained really high grades. I was one of the top of my class most of the time. And it was a bit of a shock to the system to realize I'm not just dyslexic. I'm severely dyslexic at the age of when I should be well above average in terms of reading and so forth, because I'm a first-year law student. My reading ability was well below average. And obviously other parts of my IQ were really high. But when it came to reading, I was really at a big disadvantage. So it led me down the path of working out psychology of success, why I became successful and so forth. And this led me down a rabbit hole, I can speak. Because I remember picking up a book. I wasn't even aware that this personal development industry existed, Tanya. I just didn't know it existed. Somebody asked me, how did it come across? It was just pure luck, or maybe the universe was guiding me in a particular direction, because I was in the self-help place looking for a book by Tony Buzan on speed reading and mind maps, so that they could help me on my journey as a student, because I knew I had these issues and I could work on it, and I need to work out bridges, how to overcompensate for that, all of that. I wasn't even looking for Tony Robbins. When I was looking for Tony Buzan's books, I came across Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. And that led me on to this long journey down this rabbit hole, as I say. From him, I went to Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and, the Truett, Thomas Truett and Benjamin Franklin. I mean, literally took me down a whole new path. So while I was working and developing my legal career, I was also, working on my personal mindset, my personal on what how I can become successful. Now, answering your question about money, me working in personal development didn't actually give me this love for money. And I do have love for money, and I'd say unashamedly, I don't have greed or need for money. I have love and respect for money as I would a friend, my best friend. And this is not something that I sort of teach about. You should love money and respect money like a friend. So there's no need or greed for it, but you have this mutual respect. So coming back to this idea, I had this thing from a young child because I come from a broken home. My father is a self-made multi-millionaire, and we went from riches to rags when my parents separated. So I had this inner desire from a young child. That's where the drive came from. That even though I was dyslexic, I got such high grades. I wanted to be successful. And for me, success amounted to not just having the professional labels, which I was getting along the way. It also meant monetary success. Because then when I wasn't even thinking of becoming a personal development junkie or a mindset person, I set myself a target of becoming a millionaire before I was 30. That's one of the things that you do when you first come into personal development. Especially when you pick up the book Think and Grow Rich and start reading, like, oh no, I can be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. Well,
Right.
unlike most people, I attained that. So before I think just when I think it was around 27, around a time when I turned 27, I became a property millionaire. I achieved that target. However, my life and the universe had different plans for me. I went down a different path. Various things happened, and 2 marriages down, and 2 divorces down, and 2 children down the line. I got to a point where I was a single mother, living on welfare for a very short period of time, and the idea of where I could be, because in my mid-20s I was working as a lawyer and banking finance lawyer, earning even by this time quite very high wage. I was earning close to multiple 6 figures as a mid-20s.
When we were talking, I remember that you said that was even a difficulty marriage-wise and things like, because you were making more than your husband. You were
the first marriage, yeah. The first marriage was an issue. That was an issue for the first marriage because because we were both lawyers. So on paper, our match was was great. He was a criminal solicitor, and I was at that time working for, I think, Scattered Arps, or I can't remember now which firm I was working for. But either way, I was working in a very prestigious place, and therefore, that he initially chose to become a stay-at-home father, and we were expecting a first child, and that's when he decided he doesn't want to work anymore. And I was quite happy to view that situation. I was like, yeah, that's fine, that's okay. I'll continue to work, and you can look after the family at home. No qualms about it. But it became toxic, not toxic so much. It became abusive. Toxic is another word I use in different contexts. This became abusive because the idea of controlling, because I was the main breadwinner then, he had to control me. And then I actually attained the target of being a millionaire. Like the property I bought was during that marriage. It was the first think towards within the first year of the marriage, I was able to put down roots, put down money together, and were able to buy multiple properties, and we became property millionaire. But when I was married to this individual, because I had the income then, and I had the ability to get the mortgage, etc., etc. So I wouldn't be able to do that later on when I left my job. But when I was in that place, I was able to do that and able to create the financial freedom for myself to some extent. But that's where it was. So I went from being someone like that who was earning very high income, who hit the target of being a millionaire before 30, at the age of 27, was now in her mid-30s or mid to late 30s, and was very for a short period of time, because I still had the properties on my name, even though I couldn't access them because of the divorce. I still had them on my name, so they're still my properties, and therefore I'm not eligible for welfare. So I struggled with that. So when the welfare was refused after a couple of months, they assessed it, and there was an exceptional circumstances. Then it went through discretion or whatever. But they justified it. It couldn't, because the equity in my properties, it just didn't justify them giving welfare to me. I understand that, not going against the system. And if anything, that actually gave me the kickstart that I needed to make sure that I made money in myself. But when I realized how important this relationship with money is, and what I've been doing up until that time, I learned about energy by then. I had been working through it. I was manifesting through my ex-husband, but I wasn't doing it for myself. And I had to realize what was going on with my own internal relationship with money. And that is when I started learning about it. And this is when the extra decision to start teaching about money came when I had the crossroads where, do I go back into banking finance? Do I go back into law? Or do I start fresh with something new? And that's when the decision made. I want to start fresh, do something new. Okay, if you want to start fresh, what do you want to do? And the only thing I could think of, Tanya, at that time was, I want to teach about money. I want everyone to have a better relationship with money. And I realized if there's one thing I'm passionate about, I'm openly passionate about it. I have no shame, or I'm unashamedly passionate about money. And I can tell you this, hand on heart, this unlikely you meet anybody else who's as passionate and as dedicated to this, to the idea of money and changing people's relationship with money as I am, because I know when you change your relationship with money and do it truly from the kind of point of view that I do, where you change your whole outlook of life and how you see things and how you develop things, your whole life changes. And when you have that financial freedom, the stress from the finances, when it leaves you, oh my goodness, that gives you the kind of freedom you cannot experience in this life without it. Then you're able to be free to go and cultivate the talent that you have, or go and write that book, or go and see the world, go and travel, go and have that time with your family. Because remember, we're here for a finite amount of time. We're only here for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 years max, assuming you live that long. You can use that time to live this life to its fullest when you don't have the financial stress. But in order for you to live fully, you need to alleviate all your money worries. And in order for you to do that, to change your relationship with money. Hence, this became my lifelong mission, and that's what I do at the moment.
Let me ask you, so, being in business so long, it's so interesting because individuals would come to me for, I need marketing help or branding help or so on and so forth. And the funny part was that's not even what they needed help with. And for many, many years, it was such a struggle for me because I was like, how do I get those people, okay, that think that that's their problem, but get them to come to me because I know what their real problem is, their relationship with money, their lack of inner healing, their relationship with their spouse or mother or father or kids at home. Like all of that reflects what the health of your business.
Yeah.
And then I kept thinking, oh, success. Everybody wants to talk about success. And I'm thinking health. Because the health of your business is the most important. Why? Because I have been even witness to it and been one myself, making 5, 6, 7 figures in a year or month. And then you think, I am still not happy. I want to commit suicide. The A, B, and C. And I'm talking to these individuals and I'm thinking, I feel like every entrepreneur that has, made any type of money has been in this place where they thought that making the money was going to be, but then they're fighting with themselves because they make a certain amount and then they self-sabotage. And then they make a certain amount and they self-sabotage. And so it's so, I love the thought of it because it's a really big part that most don't want to do the work for.
Yeah.
Tell me some things that you can say are trigger marks that most people are like, nah, I don't have money issues. And then you're like, yeah, you do. So tell me.
It's great that you said that, and I agree with that completely. So this is the reason why I call myself, I have a very secular term for myself. I'm a money mindset expert. And when you come and work with me, you realize I'm so much more than that. I'm actually an energy healer, and that's what I do. And exactly the things you mentioned are exactly the things they have to go through. That you have to work on your earliest money paradigm, your mom's story, your dad's story. You have to work on forgiveness. I'm a big believer in forgiveness, and forgiveness is the path to prosperity. You have to work on forgiving everybody. It's about building a relation with divine energy. What name you give to divine energy, I don't care. Call it Jesus, call it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, call it Ram, Buddha. I don't care what name you give it, or even give it a name. Call it universal energy for all I care. But building that relationship is important. So those are things people are not looking to do. It's more sexy. It's more like, oh, have more money, change your mindset, have more money. And this is it's become the buzzword. And this is what I sort of marketing aspect I use. But you're absolutely right. People come to me saying, okay, when can I make more money? And when they have to do the work, because what we're looking for, and this is exactly what you're doing, Tanya, we're looking for not just for them to have abundance in their bank balance and in their finances. We want them to have abundance in their health, in their wealth, in their family, in their joy, in their happiness, true meaning of happiness, not just in pockets here and there. Because exactly what you said, people can make money, they can align themselves with the particular, for example, they have a product or a service which profits the world. And in doing so, they get compensation and they make a certain amount of money. But if they haven't resolved, if they have unresolved issues with the family, with the mother, with the father, with the spouse, or other things going on in their life, they will cause self-sabotage, or they may have some internal limitation on what they're allowed or kind of thing they're allowed to have with money. They'll cause self-sabotage to go right back down, thinking, I made that money and I lost it. I made that money and I lost it. This is why. So if anybody says that, oh, I don't have issues with money, well, first thing I'll say, well, the very easiest way to answer that is right now, this very moment, how much money is showing up in black and white dollars in your bank account? What's the bank balance? Okay, how much money do you have? Right? So that's the first thing. Second thing, if somebody thinks, well, I don't have any issues with money, because the typical answer I get is, I don't have any issues with money. Money's okay. Money's good. But money isn't everything. As soon as you say one derogative comment about money, there's issues with money. If you think, oh, money isn't everything, you've got money issues. If you think, well, I don't want money, I just want to be happy, you've got money issues. You've got money stories. If you think, well, I want money, but only a certain amount of money because too much money makes you corrupt, you've got money issues. You've got money stories. Those things are.
It's so interesting that you said that, because I was even talking to somebody, and I'm like, you can't think that you're going to become what you're against. So you just said people with money, they're corrupt. Now you think in your subconscious brain that if you reach a certain level of income, you will be a corrupt individual.
Exactly. That's exactly the point.
You won't be a good mother because now you won't have time, because there's some distinction that, okay, more money means less time, or however the case may be. And I love how you brought that up, because it is so pivotal for people to understand that it's like, stop wasting money on your marketing and all this other stuff. Don't spend a dime on Facebook or any of these other places until you truly get this understanding and this inner healing, because your marketing, you're naturally going to market yourself, and you're going to market exactly what you're feeling. And then how are you going to teach somebody with your limiting belief to make income? It's just like, okay, teach them what you can give them results on.
Yeah. I mean, this is pivotal. What you just said is so important. If you're stuck in a certain paradigm, you can't evolve as a character. You can't evolve as a person. And I think somebody said, that there's a distinction between billionaires and millionaires. Millionaires think about logic, about NLP, about mindset and so forth. Billionaires think about energy. And they are more interested in astrology, and they're working at a deeper level. And this is what I've seen in my business as well, that people who are just interested in getting those, they're getting the magic pill or the quick fixes to just finish this idea, or getting the next best thing when it comes to marketing, or the next thing when it comes to, automation. They're looking for these quick fixes, and they'll probably reach that certain level of success, probably get to millionaire status, I mean, even the multi-millions. But true wealth doesn't start till you hit about 50 million onwards. Until then, in my books, and there's things to prove, evidence prove it. You're comfortable. You're not poor anymore, but you're comfortable. You're not actually wealthy. Wealth starts from 15 million onwards to be able to have the true experience of a lifelong wealth. And so these people are looking for these quick fixes. And this is why the next big marketing thing, the next Facebook and YouTube and whatever, and the next guru comes up. When they actually realize, if they took a step back and stop wasting their time and energy on these so-called new strategies, and think they have the talent, they have the abilities, they have the know-how, and what they don't know, they can connect with someone or something through devices energy and have that knowledge brought to them, they can market themselves in a huge way. But once they're ready for their audience, if they're not hitting a certain level, it's not because the audiences are there, not because there's something wrong with the marketing, it's probably wrong with their energy. And I promise you've seen this time and time again. When you fix your energy, when you fix your mindset and you fix your energy, that's when the people come into you. That's when the serendipitous moments start popping up left, right, center. You have a conversation with one person, he leads on to conversation with a third person, to the fourth person, which ends up leading a six-figure contract. Or this thing that you've been waiting to break through, or an income threshold you're trying to break through, all of a sudden happens overnight. I've got story after story. There's one story that I talk about, that one of my clients who came in, I think she joined us in January. She'd been doing the same marketing thing all throughout, okay? And she, I think, managed to get, and she was using organic strategies. I think she had about 20 people sign up for her challenge every time. She came into the mastermind, for my mastermind, and started working through. And then she didn't have that much time to spend, building up the audience, nurturing, whatever. But she said, okay, I might as well sign up. I normally get 20 people, I get 20 people. I'm not joking. Within 48 hours of her putting her page up and whatever thing which was starting out the challenge, she had 120 people sign up for it. 120. So 6 times what normally sign up. We're doing very little, and within 48 hours. And so that's what she did. Like, she was blown away, and she realized those people had been in the energy space all throughout, but it was her energy which was blocking it. Her ideas and her mindset about what's possible for her was blocking it. When she changed her mindset, when she changed her energy, the blocks were removed, and those people were able to see her without her doing extra work for marketing purposes. We're always marketing to be visible, right? So without her doing extra work to be visible, people connected with her and signed up within 48 hours. And there was another example of another one of my clients that she came in. I think she started back last October, and I think she was trying to set up unsuccessfully actually an online program. And she came in, and when we do what's called a manifestation roadmap in our mastermind. When I did that with her, I said, look, why don't you just go and do this quickly and just let it go. So she put that the strategy together without doing much work, and she thought, okay, I'll hit target that I want to make $1,000. Now, $1,000 may sound for somebody, but for someone who's starting out initially, having that initial breakthrough and being proving to yourself that your idea works is a major milestone. So she set a target. She wanted to set up this 8-week program, and she wanted to hit $1,000. No joke again. Within 8 weeks, she not only launched, I think sold 12 spots, and she made more than $1,000, proving that her idea was valid, and then she could go on and put it into Evergreen and whatever the hell she wanted to do with it. Within 8 weeks. Now, did I do anything? Did I teach anything else for marketing? Hell no. All I did was, in the time when she's worked with me, play of her energy, the tools she already had, the strategy she already was aware of for marketing, she used again, but this time successfully, and launched her product. And I see this time and time again.
Yeah, I love how I want to emphasize the thing that you said, because it's so important. When the one thing that you said and even didn't say is it was there the whole time. The strategy,
it is.
The way that you operate naturally. For instance, if I like video, I'm naturally going to go to video. It's not wrong if you do podcasting. It's not wrong if you want to blog. It's not wrong if wherever you naturally flow is how you're going to market your business. Whatever's going to be comfortable for you, you're naturally going to gravitate towards there, because that's the energy, that's where you're at and how you function and how you operate. But what we tend to do then is, what's the next strategy? Well, then I have to adopt this to be successful. And now you're not in a flow. You're not really happy with what you're doing, and your energy and everything shifts. And what you're putting your hands to is not necessarily prospering. And then the big thing, it didn't take another strategy. And I try to teach this all the time. I'm like, it's not the next strategy. Your next strategy, and until you die, should always be, how can I better myself? How can I shift my mindset? What limiting beliefs do I have? And ever since I actually started journaling, it was really interesting, because however I felt that night, I could actually feel the energy. I could understand. I can see the mindset. I can see what it is. And then I would read back that next morning, and I can identify all those different limiting beliefs when I got out of that energy bubble. And I'm thinking, whoa, okay, now I can identify what brings me lower, what brings me into this place that I don't need to be. So I really appreciate all the things that you're saying. And, I want to encourage you guys. So one thing that you can do is pay attention to how you speak. Pay attention to your words and pay attention to your emotions when you're listening to certain things. For instance, if you're listening to a coach, mentor, whomever, whatever, about whatever topic, and they start talking about money in this situation or relationships or this or that, and then you start being like, and you start to feel this different shift, that is a good indication that you're struggling in that area, that there's a subconscious, something is controlling that. And no matter how much you do in the conscious realm, you have to address that subconscious thought. And there's ways to activate those different things. And they always trigger themselves, even though you don't know exactly sometimes what they are in your subconscious. But the way you speak and your actions, they always tell on themselves. You can always find a little cookie crumble that trails right back to that limiting belief in that area. So, again, our heart, and I know Gull's heart too, we want you to have a healthy business, not success, because success, I think, is really overrated in a lot of areas because you have this thought, but everybody's level of success is different.
Yes, it's very subjective.
Yeah, it's very subjective. I could be making 5, 6, 7 figures, and I don't even look at that necessarily as success. I look at success as the results I'm getting from my students. I look at success as having a healthy marriage. I look at success as being able to deal with my hormonal teenager in the most positive way and getting a good result. You know what I mean? Like, we have different levels of success and little hits throughout our whole life. I look at it as having a healthy business. So when you get to that place of satisfaction, of that wonderful, wow, this is it. Like, I'm happy. And that it's not necessarily where it's at an income level. It's not necessarily, because you could be happy just on a coaching call or something. And you're like, I was created for this. Like, and you're excited and you feel that energy and you're like, I was made for this. I can't imagine doing anything else. I think we miss those little moments in our lives. The good moments and even those little moments that trigger us in our mental aspect. So thank you so much for taking the time with us. How can they get a hold of you to start breaking those mental barriers?
Thank you so much. So the easiest way to get in contact with me is by 2 sites. One is www.gullkhan, so my name, gullkhan.com. That's our blog. That's where you get to see everything else about me. And the other thing is I also have a podcast called Money Mindset with Gull Khan, and we're all over Stitcher and Spotify and iTunes. And we have a website for that too, which is by the same name, which is moneymindsetwithgullkhan.com. Come and visit on either site, and you can always toggle between the two anyway. There's a link to the blog and a link to the podcast between those two. And that's how you can start finding out about me. And I think the easiest way to actually learn more about me is to listen to the podcast. I talk about things which I feel very strongly about on my podcast, because that's probably my medium. As you were saying, everyone has their own medium of sharing. I'm very comfortable in front of the camera, but I like the podcast aspect because then I'm in your ear. I feel like being in your ear is where I can make the most impact, and therefore my podcast would be the one I have most passion for. It's most dearest to my heart. So come and check me out there and let me know how I can support you.
All right, awesome. So again, thank you so much for coming and sharing your wealth of information and vulnerability and all those aspects. I really hope the listeners really get to the place where they just are ready to receive. And so I'm praying that you, as a listener, understand that the power to create wealth is already in you. You already have it. There's the financial wealth, the mental wealth, the physical wealth. There's so many aspects and areas that you can gain such an area of wealth and satisfaction, happiness, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we can call it so many different things. And so I'm going to encourage you to re-listen a few times. I've noticed that the more I listen to something that I'm like, yes, I can listen to it 10, 15, 20 times. And each time I'm getting something different. And I'm growing and I'm growing. There's so many nuggets. So even when you go to her podcast, listen multiple times. Don't just listen one time. That is one thing that I've learned, is to be the best student you can be. And that is how you're a student. You take the time, you cut off distractions, you listen over and over and over again. Then you take notes and listen. Then you take, you know what I mean? Then you read your notes, then you rewrite your notes. I mean, there's so many different ways. So I'm excited to even listen and share as well on some of my social media pages, because I know that money mindset is super huge. All right, everyone. So I will have all of her information all around so you can have it. And God bless.
Bye.